Hey y'all, welcome to Other Realm Studio. I'm Paula, and today we're going to be working on a dragonfly. Um, it doesn't look so great right this second, but it'll improve. Let me finish getting put together. So, for the most part, I'm doing this one in paint with the oil paint effect. But for the dragonfly, I thought I would just go on and switch back to pen. I'm going to sketch him in here. So I got some really good reference shots of a dragonfly out in the yard, yeah, several weeks ago. It was a really huge one too. Let's see. And I kept trying to take a picture with my cell phone. And it really wouldn't work when I took the picture straight down on him. And I really wanted to get a good image of his back, but I never could. The phone was just blurring out and taking a picture of the ground instead. So I ended up, since he was on a wire fence, I ended up taking the picture from underneath him against the sky, and that's when all the veining in the wings showed up really nicely. So now I've had a chance to study that. So for dragonflies, the leading edge of the wing is a much thicker line. And then it's got a little bit of a bump on the end rather than being a sharp edge. And this line needs to be thinner. And it can be a little uneven. So getting the wings right is going to be a challenge. And then I was going to, let's see, in the story it says a bronze color, and that's really kind of hard to say with what's going to show up as bronze in a digital painting like this. Okay, so I might even have to zoom in a little further. Yeah, the less distance I have to keep this steady, the better. Yeah, did it again. Oh well, I'll come back to that. So there's a very distinct quality to the pattern in the dragonfly's wings. I might have to leave for a second and get my reference photo. I actually had it printed. I was pretty pleased with how it turned out. Yeah, it's a little hard to keep track of which direction the curve goes, from memory. So I was thinking about perspective today, not just in the sense of artistic perspective, which is it's good to have an understanding of. You have to know where you're standing as the artist in order to place your characters believably in their settings. So that they can exist in space. And I think to a degree that can also be true of, real life. You have to know where you exist. You have to know where you stand in reality in order to place yourself in a good position that reflects reality well. And that serves you in a way that's useful. So, perspective. For example, I am actually very lucky that if I was going to have to cut my finger yesterday, I was very lucky that it happened when it did, because when I noticed the cut, it was after I got done chopping jalapenos. So clearly I did it since I got done with handling jalapenos. And that's something to be grateful for. It's a nice little gouge in my fingertip. And also, the other good thing is that it's in my left hand. So even though I have the art stream to do and this commission to finish, it's not really affecting me much because I am not left-handed. So yeah, if things have got to happen, then at least they don't always have to have a devastating impact. and you can prevent the worst of the impacts from happening. If you know about them in time. So there's really a lot less reasons to panic than a lot of people are going around saying that there are. You know, just because that's on my mind currently. All right, Miss Chaos was in here for a second. So she's headed to bed. Or, you know, she'll be headed to bed as soon as she finds Punny Bunny. Okay, probably a lot of this work is not going to be evident in the final piece. It's probably not going to be printed large enough to really see it. But I do want the detail to be there. Let's see, I think this shade is actually closer to what we might call a bronze than the more yellow shade that I started off with. Let's see, and the shape of this wing is off. The length of it's right. But I think it really should come out and then flare out a bit more. See, I kind of want to go back over the shadow box here and do more of a felt texture. Alright, hold on just a second, and I will get my reference picture. Alright, I'm back. Let me delete my note. And we'll get started again on this. Alright, so I have my reference picture, and I was right about the shape of this wing, but it's actually in a little further before it does that. This is actually going to need to be squared off a little bit. So I'm kind of wondering if I'll have a better time of this if I make wider stripes of color and then erase out in between them. Okay, so this is about right, and this needs to come down a little bit more because that edge is a little too straight. So this is it's going to be a lot of tiny little detail work. So let me see. So if this top edge follows across the length of the wing here, and then I was right about that. That's how it comes out. No, I don't need any more notifications. And then, alright, let me look and see. This actually starts back in here. Hang on, let me find it again. And then, they come across and connect with a lot of little cells, which I will have to draw most of them. But it might be better. Might be easier to maintain the integrity of the line by drawing the thicker line and then erasing out the cells in it. Okay. So we'll try that out. And this is still a little sloppy, but I'm going to have to do several of them in order to look right. Also, I didn't do a undersketch for this part. I'm just going to draw it straight and hope I don't mess it up. So let's see. What else are we working on? Okay, I might actually have these a little too rectangular. But, drawing all this tiny veining, it's going to be interesting. Alright, let me back up and see what it looks like, the overall effect, before I get in too close to it and forget to blink. I don't know. Let's see, I know it's going to be in closer than that. It could work, maybe. I don't know. I might not have enough time to do all the wings tonight. I'll just leave that one there as an experiment. We'll see if I like it any better tomorrow. Oh yeah, tomorrow I will not be doing an art stream. Wednesday's my night off of art, and I do other stuff, family stuff. So I won't be having the stream tomorrow, but I will be back on Thursday at 8:45 to 9:15 or 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Let's see. I'm taking suggestions for topics. I'm gonna have to go in and fix my descriptions and everything all across the board, across a bunch of different platforms. I think this could stand to be a little straighter. Okay. So I'll take down this leading edge right here. And bring this one out here. Alright, that's improved it. That's made it look a lot more like the authentic shape. Never be afraid to use reference. Never be afraid to get more information to inform what you're doing. Sometimes sometimes it's kind of painful to realize that you've been thinking about the shape of something all wrong. But that's life. You live, you learn, you change. And you get over the embarrassment and start living a little better. Start winning a little more frequently. All right, come on. Thank you, autosave. Clip Studio Paint loves me and autosaves. Unlike OpenOffice, which killed something that I was working on earlier today, I was having so much fun with it too. I mean, I typed up this huge, well, pretty huge, few pages, um, rather complex thing that I'd been thinking about for a while, and my program crashed and I hadn't saved it at all, and it hurt. Goodness, I felt sick. And I just sort of stared at the computer for a little while in shock and horror. How could it do this to me? And I thought, well, I'll just retype it. And that's when my brain decided, hey, that thing that we just got done doing? Uh, yeah, I don't even know where to start anymore. Oh, goodness. So I have a few notes that look more like nonsense than notes, and I'll be putting it back together, I guess. It was uh, it was a concept for an app, and see, I hadn't really tried to develop it because I can't program. I mean, and techie stuff makes me angry, like Hulk angry. And I really wanted this app though, this idea that I had, because I mean, I could really use a little boost on my productivity. Um, I tend to wander around and get lost, and kind of need a little more encouragement to keep going and doing what I need to get done so that I'll have it done and I'll, you know, we'll be winning. So I wanted a productivity app that had some gamification elements and that would be encouraging and feel like I was going somewhere. That's the other thing. I really like to feel like I'm achieving something and arriving at a destination, that I'll have something at the end to show for it all. I mean, yeah, the journey's great, but it's really easy to forget how far you've come if you never get anywhere. So yeah, I had this idea, and maybe we could like link it up to a Fitbit and uh, like so that when you do like your daily walking and stuff. It can be logged oops, towards visiting a new place on the map. Yeah, a new virtual place. And there was a lot of stuff. And I lost it. I lost everything that I'd worked on. And it had been an old idea, but I'd already lost where I'd written down the old idea, which I don't think that was a technical glitch. I think that was just a losing my paper sort of glitch. So I'm going to be rewriting the whole idea again. And it's really sad. It hit me pretty hard, but come to think of it, every time I've been forced to rewrite something and having to start from scratch after I've already worked it out in great detail once, the second iteration is even better. Yeah, these things happen for a reason, or, well, I think they do. And so, after I get over kicking myself for not saving, I will finish writing it again, and it's going to be even better. But yeah, so I wasn't going to develop this idea in the first place, and then my friend says she knows somebody who does programming and makes apps for fun, and you know, since it's something I really want, and she thought it sounded interesting too, maybe he'd do it. If I just get all my details together, and it can't hurt to ask. That's what I'm going to do. And I mean, if everything on my wish list can't happen for it, then at the very least, I want a to-do list with some really cheerful sound effects that I can click whenever I finish, like doing a load of laundry or dishes or sweeping the floor or decluttering. I really need to declutter a lot of places around the house. There's like things show up and then they don't leave. And then you don't really know where to put them. Okay, at first I did not like this pattern so much and I thought it needed more work, but I think I'm getting somewhere with this now. Okay. I'll just finish filling in this wing for tonight, and then I probably gotta go. Ooh, exciting. Bug wings. And yeah, I need to do more of the real painting sort of stuff rather than drawing. But this dragonfly's been bothering me a bit. I wanted to be sure that I got him right. Let's see. And I also wanted to airbrush a little bit. Whoa, that's huge. Alright. I want something that looks a little bit amber. Okay. So, almost done for tonight. Okay. So let's see. This is a cover image, so as a thumbnail, it'll look more like, come on, scroll properly. It'll look more like that. I've decided that at the end of the painting, when I have all my layers combined, that's uh, when I'll fix the proportions so that there'll be more room for the title. Let's see, there's our thumbnail image, or thereabouts. And then about Kindle size, it's going to look about like that ish. So yeah, I think that's going to be about right. I don't have to go into like photorealistic detail on it at this tiny size. Oops. Okay. So after I do the wings, I'm going to want to put some dimension in her hair. Let's see. Because right now, even though it's got a few shades of brown in it, it still looks very flat. They're all very similar in value. and there's no shadows in it. Or highlights for that matter. So I really enjoy painting hair. It's going to take a lot of, back and forth, a lot like the skin tone, and working it out to make it look right. Come on, there goes autosave. See, right here, we'll get some shadows and give it some pieciness. Well, good evening, Heartless Spectre. How are you doing tonight? That's good to hear. So, let's see. I've about got to go. I've been trying to keep my life together. Well, not terrible. So I'm pretty excited about how my latest commissions here turning out, and ack, except for that bit right there that I just did. Let me undo all that. There. Um, so here I've got a dragonfly in a shadow box and hair that's it's coming along. And I know she's kind of got crazy eyes going on right now, but I'll paint in the eyelids a bit more naturally later. See, there's my dragonfly so far. So this is an illustration for a short story collection that, oh yeah, and I need to finish up the shadows behind this guy too. And the lighting up here. So yeah, there's a lot of work left on this piece. But yeah, it's been going really great. And I'm just about done with this one. I just need to tidy it up and add some shadows. And, a little bit of grunge on these posts. They're standing out a little stark. And this one, I still need to work on the textures a little bit. Also, I don't think she's quite anchored with her shadows. But yeah, life's good. My photo of a dragonfly did not place in the art fair recently, but no big deal. I still have my photo for art reference, and that's what I took it for in the first place. Let's see. Well, I'm mostly self-taught myself. The biggest the biggest thing about art is being able to see it. Oh yes. Yeah, he's meant to. Yeah, so here's what his overall shape's supposed to be. I need some really um, jagged, cobwebby, veined lines coming out from him to uh, to add to the tension and hint a bit more about his nature and stuff. But yeah, I was pretty pleased with how it came out. Let's see. Hmm. Maybe not with the oil paint for that, because that's going to catch and drag. Ah! That was weird. I accidentally shrank my window here. Hmm. Not entirely happy with all those lines. So once I figure out exactly where all the lines ought to go, then I can go over them with the blur effect right here and blend them down so that they'll match the rest of the guy. But yeah, it's for a collection of uh, short stories. Not quite horror, not quite thriller, not quite supernatural, but gothic. Uh, my time's up for tonight, but thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. And before I sign off, this is my website, otherrealmstudio.com. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I'm not great at chatting either. I'm really just doing the art stream in order to get used to talking about my work. And yeah, I'm still not like good at it, but I'm getting more used to it. But yeah, I gotta sign off. I've changed my time from uh, 9 to 10 to more like 8:45 to 9:30 ish. Just so I can get the kids in bed and everything in time for the school year and stuff. So on my website, otherrealmstudio.com, you can find my portfolio. I've got a whole slideshow up here, and I have a newsletter. I do art commissions. Oh yes, I stream Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. I take off Wednesdays and weekends. So it's really done wonders for my consistency. And what with doing the art consistently, my skills have really improved. It's it's really been good for me. So I'm glad I got started doing this. And let's see, my big accomplishment this year has been getting the first issue of my comic, you know, finished and in print. This is Soulbound issue 1, Adrift. It's like the first chapter of an epic 10-issue miniseries about uh, Becca Albright, who has enough of her own problems, but she ends up being thrown into a realm of magic, myths, and monsters. And she has to find her way back home before her soul comes wandering back without the rest of her. So I'm really excited about this because issue 2 is going to be in production pretty soon. I've got the whole thing scripted. Well, I'm sure you are that kind of person. Yeah, maybe you just haven't found that kind of passion yet, but it's in there somewhere. Yeah, for the longest time I just felt really intensely about absolutely everything, but I never told anybody. And finally I decided, if I don't start talking about my ideas and I don't start talking about my work, I'm never going to complete anything and I'll never share it with anyone. And it's going to die with me someday. Not to be morbid or anything, but then what am I going to have left? What mark will I have on the world? So, so far, so far, I have a comic book and some art, and I could not be happier. So, yeah, on my website I have the Shop Comics and More page, which so far the more is just one more item. That's okay. And you can get a signed limited edition of the first issue, and I can mail those out like right away. I have a stack here. I also have little hatchable baby dragons that I make. But there's my comic. And also, I have the Kindle edition on Amazon. So I'm really excited about that too. So, I mean, so far reviews have been really good. And it's just difficult to get out there because it's an epic fantasy comic and I'm absolutely nobody. I don't have any industry experience, but I've heard from people who do have some industry experience and who are, avid comic collectors and readers, and they say that this is actually a good solid story. It's a good solid start and they're excited to see more about it. So far so good. I've got the whole thing outlined and um yeah, all I got to do is finish scripting out, got 8 more scripts to write. And I'm teaming up with Mia Pierce. She's she's also on Twitch. Um, I think her handle is Mia Pet or This Is Me a Pet. I'm not quite sure. I don't know how much that she actually streams, but you know, if you find her, you'll see some of her art that she's done for this. So she's doing the line art, and then I go back and do the coloring. And then I hired Wes Loker to do the lettering, and that improved it immensely. That was that was something that I thought I was going to be able to do myself, but there are a lot of conventions to follow in comic lettering, and I don't know any of them. So I just sort of eyeballed the whole thing, and uh, then I sent it to Wes Loker for a critique, asking, how I did. And he's like, I could give you notes on this, but it would be a lot of notes. It would be simpler and faster to just let me redo the whole thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, your page rate's very reasonable. So he really brought a lot of polish and professionalism to the whole look of the book. So it's really nice. I got to stick to my strengths, which are writing and coloring. And Mia's line art and sequential art is just absolutely fantastic through this whole thing. I I cannot get over how proud I am of this book. And I can't wait to get started on issue 2. I'm so excited. I mean, technically, I guess it is already started. But yeah, I want to see art. Okay, well, that really is it, though. I gotta go. Gotta go tuck in my children, or I'll have to carry one to bed, and she's getting to be as tall as I am, so there's like lots of leg. They're all unwieldy to carry to bed now. So that's all for tonight. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you in the other realm. Good night.